There are well over 27 individual comic books in the world, and sometimes it can be a little bit hard to navigate exactly which ones are for you. So today, we're going to go over my top 5 comics that belong in everybody's collection. Let's get into it. Now, when I say top 5 comics that belong in everyone's collection, I mean everyone. I'm not just talking about people who are experts in comics. I'm not just talking about comic book novices. I'm not even talking about people who absolutely hate comics. I'm talking like this. If a snooty professor were to show up, comic books are dumb and only for kids. Well, I mean, sometimes, but also no, they're for everyone. Oh, really? Well, then pick 5 comic books that proved me wrong. Yeah, okay. This is that list. Got it? Any questions? Too bad, this is a pre-recorded video. I can't answer the questions right now, but go ahead and put them in the comments, but let's get on with it. First of all, we've got to talk about the team behind Wolverine. We have Chris Claremont, who is the guy who made X-Men cool, and then we have Frank Miller, who's already a legend before he even touched this book. And they make probably the greatest romantic tragedy this side of Shakespeare. For real though, I have a friend who asked me about what comic books I would recommend, and this was an easy one because this reads like high literature. All these themes of otherness and separation and the insurmountable odds, both physical and emotional, that are keeping Wolverine from his sweetheart, and it leads up to a climax that leaves everybody guessing and tackles really heavy themes of honor and masculinity and chivalry. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. Plus, at the same time, you get to see Wolverine slice up a bunch of ninjas, which is just insanely fun. It does the soul good. It's good for the soul to see Wolverine slice up ninjas. I'm making a little stack of comic books here. That'll be fun. Civil War is probably one of the deepest books that I've ever read. At the surface, it's just a couple of friends who disagree on a very fundamental issue. But it's one of those books where you really pull out of it what you put into it, and I've been able to take almost any political argument that I've seen in the news since this has been published, or even sometimes before this book has been published, and it follows the exact pattern that this book suggests, making it probably the strongest political allegory I've ever read anywhere. Because it will show you exactly what's going to happen after any kind of tragedy. You have the different leaders. It tells you who those leaders are. It's going to tell you what their platforms are. It's going to tell you what kind of extent they're going to go to make things happen. It's going to tell you who will win and ultimately why. And all of that is amazing in this. Honestly, if comic books didn't have such a stigma against them being counted as real literature, I could see Civil War being discussed in schools alongside books like Fahrenheit 451 or The Crucible. It gets that deep. And since it's one of those books where you get out of it what you put into it, it has a lot of repeat reading value. Plus, Captain America, Iron Man, and Spider-Man are the main characters in it, which makes it infinitely more fun. Belongs in the library. Read it. You should have this. Add it to the stack. So even if the team who made this book didn't understand exactly what they were creating, it doesn't matter. What happens is that it was created. The Death and Return of Superman, the trilogy here. I've got the trilogy here. The Death and Return of Superman trilogy. The Death, the Funeral, and Reign of and Return of Superman. Because see, how this all works is that prior to this, comic book writing was very much serialized and very one after the other, after the other, after the other, almost soap opera, and how it was all set up, how things connected forward. But after the hype of the Death and Superman happened, and people lost their minds over this, the follow-ups The Funeral, and especially Reign and Return, they changed up the entire formula from a systematic, serialized format to event-based. A thing that we see in movies today and TV shows today, a very different kind of writing. When I studied music, a lot of people would tell me that the reason why Beethoven was so important to the world of music is that he's the bridge between the classical era of music composition and the romantic era of musical composition. The death and return of Superman is that same bridge as far as serialized popular writing is concerned. Whether they knew it or not, that's the consequence of it, and the consequence of that now is that the death and return of Superman belongs in your collection, but don't worry, it's been reprinted a bajillion times. It's easy to get. Now, what Civil War did for the world of the outside, what it does for the outside world, Kingdom Come does for the world within. It asks questions of what it means to be human and what roles do faith and hope play in being human. And it looks at humanity from the lens of several different people. Those who are within humanity, those who are outside of humanity, those who were once outside but now within, those who are within and now outside, and those who are within humanity but trying really hard not to be. And it's really fascinating to see just how different all those viewpoints are and how they're all balanced within this book. And then we have to talk about the art. It would be a mistake not to talk about the art in this book, because Alex Ross is flipping amazing. He paints every single panel, every single image with live actors and costume to get the anatomy correct. Honestly, if you took any image or any page from this book and framed it and then put it up in a gallery, nobody would look twice. No one would blink. Like, it feels like it belongs there, and it's nuts that you can get such amazing pop art officially for pretty cheap. Like, this book is everywhere. So get it. Now, unlike all the other books on this list, Scummy Clouds Understanding Comics is not a fiction. It's actually an essay. No, don't let that word scare you. Don't let that word scare you, because of all the comic books I've ever recommended to anyone, this has changed the most minds about what comic books can accomplish. See, legendary artist, writer, creator, all-around guy, Scott McCloud, does this really deep analysis of what exactly comic books can accomplish as a medium. Like, what makes them unique, what makes them different from any other form of art or media. What can it accomplish that, like, TV or video games or novels or even just straight fine art? What can comic books accomplish that those can't? And it examines the relationship of story and pictures and words, and the words you see and the words you don't see, and how illustrations change, and the difference between how much detail is in a book versus how much detail isn't in a book. And, you know, since he's this great comic book creator that's been embedded in the industry for years and years, it's rather entertaining when he presents the information. It's fantastic. Anyone who sees comics as just a bunch of guys in tight clothing punching a bunch of other guys in tight clothing for the entertainment of children, you're going to have your minds changed after you read what Scott McCloud has to say about that. Those are the 5 books that I believe need to be in everybody's library from beginning to end. If you want a well-rounded library of great classic books, I think these 5 books need to be in there. So there you go. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know if there's any more books you think need to be on this list in the comments. Here's another video that YouTube thinks you might like, and until next time, thank you for joining me. Have a great day, and remember to always be your best self.